For example, we are throwing a secret party. Don't spill the beans. They would say this particular sentence instead of saying we are throwing. Hello, everybody. How are you all? Hope you're doing great. So, welcome back to another session of learning English with me. Today, I'm again going to take one of the requested topics, a topic that was requested a lot by all of you. That is how to understand native English speakers. So, this is one of the problems that you are not able to understand native English speakers. That is when you're watching movies, web series, maybe another content, you're listening to something where native English speakers are speaking English, you're not able to understand them. And it happens, and there is no need to worry about it, because today I'm going to give you the solutions how to understand native English speakers better, how to understand them. The way they speak English is a bit different than you might speak English, and that is why it is important to understand how you can cover that gap that has been created. How to cover it today I'm going to tell you in this particular lesson. I'm Shivangi Gupta, your CELTA certified English language tutor, certified by the University of Cambridge, the UK, and you're watching Speak English with Shivangi. Before beginning, please subscribe to this channel because you get one English video lesson every day on this channel. Also, like the video and share it with your friends too. Okay, coming back to today's lesson, that is how to understand native English speakers. Okay, let me tell you one thing about native English speakers. Native English speakers are the speakers whose mother tongue is English. So they have learned this language, they are speaking this language since birth, right? And that's why they are very habitual of speaking it. The way they speak it so fluently, they speak it like without thinking. That think in English process is automatically happening for them. And one thing I want to tell you is, even if you're not able to understand native English speakers in a recorded video, maybe an audio, if you go and have a conversation with them, you will be able to understand them better than any audio, any recorded thing. So it's not so difficult to understand them. It is not, because it is the same language. We are also speaking English, they are also speaking English. It's the same language. The difference in the way they use it. Just little bit differences in the way they use it in the spoken form. What we do is we focus too much on the written form, how it is written, and we take it as the basis of listening English. When we listen to English, what happens is we are in mind framing sentences according to the way we write it. But sometimes I've told you spoken English is a bit different than written English. These are the differences which creates this gap of not able to understand whatever that native English speaker might be saying. And we are going to look at how to overcome it. So let's begin with all the solutions now. Solution number one. Solution number one is to learn contractions. You have to learn contractions. Now, in my shadowing speaking practice technique, the shadowing speaking practice that I do with all of you, I often tell you about the contractions while I do the speaking practice with all of you. While I'm giving you that particular sentence, when I'm giving you the instruction to follow that fluency level of the sentence, what I do is I often tell you about the contractions. Now, these are the contractions that we are not habitual of using. And native English speakers are habitual of using all the contractions. They will not say, it is not. They'll say, it isn't. They will contract things, contractions. They will not say, it is raining outside. They'll say, it's raining outside. It's. So they have contracted. These contractions helps you speak English. So they are habitual of speaking English. They speak fast English. How are they able to speak so fast English? Because they use contractions. So contractions are something that you need to become habitual to listen to. At least if you're not using them, at least become habitual of listening to contractions and recognizing them. So once you start listening to contractions, you'll be able to understand what native English speakers are saying. So contractions are important part. Your normal basic contractions. I'm not saying that you have to go and do such deep study on contractions. No, some basic spoken contractions that are used. That's it. And those basic contractions are covered in my shadowing speaking practice technique videos. So if you are following those practice techniques, if you are practicing with me in that shadowing lesson that I am uploading for all of you, the shadowing speaking lesson for all of you, you are good to go. You are covering all the important contractions with me in those videos. Solution number 2 is learn some slangs. Now you have to learn some slangs. What are slangs? Slangs are actually informal language. Every language has slangs. Your native language must have some slangs. Even if you go to a particular dialect in a language, a dialect can have a different slang. For example, British English and American English have different slangs. What might be considered as a slang in British English might be considered a bit offensive in American English because the meaning of that particular slang would change according to the usage of the native people of that particular place they are living at. So slangs are very important, and often when you're listening to something, especially if you're listening to something informal, for example, if you're watching a movie, a web series, at that time you will encounter lots of slangs. Now, let me give you an example. For example, slang is, I really love your shoes. That's so sick. So sick. So sick does not mean that the person looks sick or shoes are sick, they're bad. No. So sick is actually a slang in English which is used to say, that's awesome. That's great. So when you say that someone appears stylish, they appear good, you can say, that's so sick. That's so sick means that's awesome. That's great. That's the slang. So these are slangs. They can be one word long, they can be very short phrases. So these slangs are important for you to master if you want to understand native English speakers, because they use lots of slangs when they speak English. Number 3 is idioms and phrases. So if you don't have knowledge about idioms and phrases, again you might not be able to understand native English speakers. So in order to able to understand them, you should have knowledge about some common spoken idioms and phrases. Now I have lots of lessons for you on idioms and phrases already. You do not need to go anywhere else. You will get all the idioms, all the phrases here on the channel. You have a particular playlist. Go to the playlist, check out all the lessons in that particular playlist. That is phrases and idioms in English. Now phrases and idioms. Phrases and idioms are something that's fixed. These are fixed expressions, fixed sentences with a particular meaning and used in a particular situation. These phrases, these idioms are used a lot by native English speakers. And once you become habitual of listening to them, once you become habitual of using them in your conversations, you will not find it so much difficult to understand native English speakers. They will not say something directly in any of the audios. Often they are habitual of using these phrases, using these idioms. Now idioms, they have a figurative meaning. Like the words, they don't mean exactly same. For example, we are throwing a secret party. Don't spill the beans. They would say this particular sentence. Instead of saying, we are throwing a secret party, do not reveal the secret. Do not tell it to anybody. So instead of saying, please don't tell it to anybody, this is a secret, they will use an idiom for that particular meaning. That is, do not spill the beans. Do not spill the beans means do not tell anything that is meant to be kept as a secret. Do not reveal the secret. So they use lots of idioms, phrases when they speak English. That's why I say spoken English is a bit different than written English. So when they speak English, casual English, conversational English, they use idioms and phrases. Learn idioms and phrases and you will be able to understand native English speakers too. Solution number 4 is active listening. That is, when you listen to some content in English and you're using some content developed by a native English speaker, for example, a movie, a web series, maybe an interview on YouTube, whatever you are listening to, listen it actively. Active listening is very important because you're listening it absent-mindedly. You're listening it for a month absent-mindedly, and then you think that why am I still not able to understand whatever they are speaking in that particular clip, in that particular audio. Why am I not able to understand? It's because you are not paying enough attention. So when you listen to something, listen it attentively and listen more. You are listening to particular audio, you're listening to something, you're watching a web series. That is, you have to listen more and more. Listen to it actively. Active listening is important. So what is active listening in this particular situation? Now here active listening is a bit different than conversational skills. Here when I say active listening, you have to note down any idioms that the person might be speaking. You have to note down the phrases, the idioms, things that you don't know about. Note where they are using contractions. So that is what you need to do, active listening. Solution number 5. Now solution number 5 is immerse yourself in English. The immersion technique that I have talked about. When you immerse in English, when you immerse yourself in English, it's like you're completely surrounding yourself by English. And when you immerse yourself in English content, your English language acquisition will be higher. The rate of that acquisition will be higher. And that's why it's important for you to immerse yourself in English. When you immerse yourself in English, not only your speaking skills, but you will find that your listening skills have improved a lot. And understanding native English speakers comes in the power of your listening skills. So immersing in English is just not about English speaking, but it's about your overall development of English. You are speaking good English, you're able to understand English, you might be able to understand even advanced English if you immerse yourself properly, correctly in English. So immerse yourself in English. How to do that? The lesson is already there for you. Check out the lesson, the immersion technique, in order to know how to immerse yourself in English. So it not only develops your speaking skills, but listening skills too. Two major skills for communication, that is listening and speaking. They are the two basic skills of communication in any language, listening and speaking. An immersion technique directly develops both of these skills. So immerse yourself in English. Understanding native English speakers is not that difficult. So when you listen to somebody, you listen to a native English speaker, you will not find it so much difficult if you include all the solutions in your learning pattern. Whatever you're learning routine, your learning schedule, if you include all the solutions in that particular routine, in that particular schedule, you will find that your listening skills are improving and you are also able to understand the native English speakers too. That means you are reaching the advanced level of fluency, both speaking and listening fluency. That's it for today. That was the lesson. I hope this was helpful for you. This is the lesson on how to understand native English speakers. Now I'm gonna meet you next time with a new lesson. Till then, everybody, take care and bye.